Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Definitely time to tell the truth, everybody. Welcome to the Information Man Experience. I have some dynamic brothers with me from the Great Black Detox. Dr.AMSU and his partner, Mr. Breaks, will be on with you in just a moment. For everyone in the chat room, take out a piece of paper, your pencils and what have you, especially the ladies as well as the men, because these brothers are going to break it down about some of the health issues that we as black people in this world need to be concerned about when it comes to certain things we're putting in our bodies, chemicals, food products, all these things that are impacting us, medications that we're taking. They're really going to break it all down to you. And with that said, let's get started with the Information Man Experience with the opening music, and peace and love to everybody.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
All right, everybody, peace and respect to everybody that's come over today. I have some very special guests. Let me clap again, everybody in the chat room. I appreciate you being here. And I have some very special guests with us. We have Dr. AMSU and we have Mr. Breaks from the Great Black Detox. They're actually out and about today enjoying the weather, but they're with us by way of the StreamYard so we can definitely intervene and talk to them, get information. I want everyone in there to definitely get their hands on a pad, take down some notes. These brothers are the real deal when it comes to our health, foods that we're eating, things that we're putting in our body that is complete poison for us, things that we have been taught to believe are healthy for us that may not be so healthy for us. And there's various areas that I want to touch on with these brothers, particularly the area as it relates to our melanin, as it relates to vitamin D versus vitamin D3 versus vitamin D2, because vitamin D2 doesn't absorb in your body properly as vitamin D3 is able to. And there are very important health effects to vitamin D3 to our system. And then there's also really down effects when we don't get enough of this in our system as it relates to depression and mental health. And I'm going to have these brothers expand on to that, expand more into those areas, especially the area of female reproductive disorders. I also want to talk to them about the areas of Black men when it comes to maintaining our testosterone, our male hormones, what kind of foods really are impacting us that we're eating that could impact our male hormones as we get older and we start to lose muscle density and we get tired, out of breath, all these things, diabetes that becomes a big factor. I want to talk to them about all these different areas. Ladies and gentlemen, just before I bring them in, let me remind you that we're also on Roku TV by way of BS3 Network. I'm going to put that in there and hit this one.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network. BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
So if you are watching at home and you have a Roku TV package, you can find me right now live on Roku TV by way of BS3 Network. I want to say shout out to Mr. Ben out there.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
I want to give him a clap. Everybody who's on the platform, we have sports on that platform. We have relationship talk on that platform, political talk on that platform, religious content on that platform, all different types of content on that platform. And I'm just a member who's a part of the family over there. So I want to say shout out to Ben, everybody who may be watching on Roku TV, everyone in Facebook that's watching, Twitter, the whole 9 yards that I'm broadcasting in multiple places right now. And I want to say shout out to the audience that we have right here on YouTube. I want to go over to these brothers right now and get into this right now and bring them on. And they're in the backstage, but we're going to bring them on. They're out and about right now on location, having a good time in the sun where we all need to be. And let me make sure I unmute this right here. Okay. I think, brothers, you may be muted yourself. There we go. You unmuted yourself. All right.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Man.
Speak up a little bit. Hope the background noise isn't too disturbing for you. But first day of spring out here, so it's all happening. Yeah, we have this ATL soul and R&B picnic event. So every Black person in Atlanta probably is here.
Yeah. Let me see something because I'm getting some back sound in my. Before we went live, everything was nice, clear sound, but I'm getting some feedback.
I see.
I can hear myself talking. So let me test the audience. Everybody that's coming to the chat room so far, are you hearing any double sound coming out of my mic? Put a 1 in the chat room if you're hearing any extra sound. It doesn't sound right. Or maybe it's just me. Yes, there's an echo. So let me see what I can do to fix the echo effect. Let me go in here. Hopefully that'll. Okay. The effect is. Okay, everyone's putting. Hear me well? Okay. How about our guest? Go right ahead, brothers, and say something.
Yeah. So, 1, 2. We'll give you the mic check.
Can everybody hear them well? Okay, the audio, they're saying the audio is a little muffled. I wonder how that happened. We were sounding nice and clear before we.
Right. Same location, same device.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. I have no idea what's going on here, but we'll forge through.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's let everybody know about your channel. What brought you to YouTube? How long have you been on social media, on media? I know I've seen you interview. But where did you brothers come from? I hear the accents. There's Jamaican ancestry. There's some UK sound in there.
Yeah. It's a melting pot information, man. Honestly, But first of all, listen, we really want to thank you for having us on your platform.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you to all of your guests and all of your listeners and followers for taking their time out to be a part of this. We think it's very important, the information we share, and we really appreciate you for extending that to enable us to do that. So to answer your question, so Electric Food or the Great Black Detox, the Great Black Detox is really a campaign we've been running for the last year or so, and it was really in response to the deaths, the disproportionate deaths Black people were facing from COVID, right? And what COVID really did do is expose the fact that Black people are as sick or sicker than we think we are. You know, Black people are healthy, we're fit, we're, you know, all the best athletes. And what it is, it gives a sort of false sense of security that Black people are actually fitter than we really are. But the fact of the matter is, we were dying at a higher rate than Caucasians and Latinos because of all these pre-existing conditions. Now, we've been in this game for a long time. Dr. Amsu has been doing this for probably 12, almost 15 years, really helping people work with individuals. And it's in the last few years that we really wanted to expand that to really just reach more people. It's all well and good us sort of curing and helping with our family members and friends and so on, but we really wanted to bring this to the wider audience. And interestingly or ironically, coronavirus introduced an opportunity for us to really bring a message, a call to action to Black people, not just here in America, but globally, right?
Globally.
And Electric Food is really the company that's behind it. That's the herbal supplement company where Dr. Amsu and our team have been creating herbal supplements to tackle ailments, to tackle our general health. And as you said earlier in your introduction, we focus a lot on female reproductive health issues. And why that was so alarming, Dr. Amsu will probably tell you, is that when Dr. Amsu started doing this, almost everyone we spoke to, if they came to us for weight issues, for hair loss issues, for general well-being issues, 75 to 80, 90% of Black women had fibroids or some other female reproductive health issue. And that really sort of opened the door, and Dr. Amsu did a lot of research. And we spent a lot of time on our focus really dealing with female reproductive health issues because they're at the center of our families. And we find that when women are healthy, the families are healthy. And when families don't talk, which is another epidemic we have, is that people do not talk about their health issues. So we really wanted to bring awareness to this. So Doc, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. Just give you some of the background. You know, Dr. Amsu and I are both from London, UK. He's of Jamaican heritage. I'm of Ghanaian, West African heritage. And we've known each other for a long time. And through fate, really, we've been here almost 20 plus years living in America. We've been through several industries, but we've always had a penchant for health. We've been on and off vegan and pescatarian and raw vegan for probably almost 30 years now. And over the last few years, as the food quality has gotten worse, the soil quality has gotten worse, the quality of the allopathic medicine has gotten worse, and our health has declined. We put more of a focus on our health, which is why, you know, I started helping Dr. Amsu really work with his herbal supplement line, and again, to sort of bring that to the world. I don't know, you want to tell a little bit about how you got into this, Dr. Amsu?
I mean, so again, Black people are in a bad place, and we are all we've got at the end of the day. You know, the allopathic pharmacological industry is not made for us. Pharmaceuticals are not tested on Black people. In fact, 98% of all pharmaceuticals are tested on white people, on white biology. Only 2% is shared between people of color. So that means adverse effects are not tested before we're exposed to these medications. So there's medicine and there's medication. So what we deal with is medicine. So medicine is anything from plants, anything from plant-based substances. So we put together supplements which are, you know, formulations of plant-based ingredients to address the root causes of all these issues that Black people have. And we have the usual suspects: high blood pressure, heart disease, fibroids, prostate issues, all these issues that Black people seem to have more than everybody else. But all the medication, if there are in fact medications for them, they're not even tested on us. So when we start taking these things, we have these adverse effects, and then we're put onto other medications to address whatever side effects we have from taking the original medication. So we're in this, you know, ever decreasing circle of poison, toxins that they give us. So I've spent the last 20 to 25 years developing protocols based upon you know, all natural plant-based seeds, fruits, barks, you know, roots, rhizomes that address the root causes and bring remedy, provide nutrients, nutrition, because nutrition is the answer to our problems. It's not found in artificial or synthesized medications.
Okay, doctor. Can you briefly give people examples of the types of fruits and roots that you're talking about that they may be able to go out and purchase themselves and start implementing this into their own diet plan or their lifestyle? Because it should be a lifestyle. I don't like the word diet. It should be a lifestyle.
Right. I mean, the long and short of it is basically, we have common things like pineapples, right? So pineapples contain a chemical called bromelain, right? Bromelain, which addresses diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, neurological issues, right? And you know, digestive issues, and most people won't even know this. But we might go out and we might mix some Malibu with pineapple and be like, right, you know, that's the only time I really have these things. We got things like soursop, which is good for cancer, right? Good for cancer. Like most forms of cancer, soursop, which is a fruit that's grown in the Caribbean and in, you know, the Amazon. But most people don't even know what it looks like. So if they go into a store and they see a soursop, they think, what the hell is that? Ugly fruit. So it's an ugly fruit. It's a big
I'll
ugly
be honest
fruit.
with you. I've never heard of it myself, brother. I've never heard of it.
Right. And there's things like common things like pears and apples. They're good for your immune system. They're good for your nervous system. So there's a whole bunch. Most fruits that we know about, they're actually good for us for something. But then there are common fruit like Cavendish bananas, which is the bananas or bananas, as you guys say, that the yellow bananas that you guys buy. Back in the day when I was a child, you could see black seeds when you dissect a banana, right? Right now, there's no seeds. So we have a whole bunch of seedless fruit that are on the marketplace, and they may even be organic. But the problem with seedless fruits is that they contain manganese inhibitors. Seeds possess manganese. So when they start creating seedless fruit, meaning they can grow them without planting them, they have manganese inhibitors. Now, what manganese inhibitors do is they attack the reproductive organs because they will start to inhibit fertility in humans. So one of the problems that we see among black people, right? Back in the day, you sneeze on a black woman, she got pregnant. Now black couples are trying to have babies. We never had to try. It was a one time, one shot, one goal. Now black people are trying. So fertility and fecundity, which is the ability to become pregnant, is waning, it's diminishing because we're eating seedless fruits. So a lot of people will go out and they'll say, right, let me get a fruit bowl and whatever, and what's in there are watermelons. These watermelons have no seeds. Then they have grapes, and the grapes don't have no seeds. All the bananas don't have no seeds. So we're being attacked even when it comes to foods that usually would be great for us. They've been Frankenstein. So again, it diminishes our health. So they become what's good for us now become toxins or toxic. So we have to detox, which is why again we have the Great Black Detox, so that we can not only provide that lifestyle of periodical detoxification, but also educate people into, okay, when you are eating, here's what you can eat. Here's the best stuff for you to eat. So we also have an app, the Great Black Detox app.
The Great Black Detox app, everybody. Get that app as soon as possible.
So it's on iOS and on Android. So and in there we have a forum. You know, we have different forums. We have the people, which is like Gen Pop, where people ask questions about where can I buy distilled water, where can I find, you know, cherry tomatoes, which are organic, and what should I do if I have high blood pressure? What do I do if I have diabetes? What's the best food? So we started it off by answering questions, and now it's policing itself. So we don't even need to be on there so much now, because all the members, they're answering each other's questions. So we've created this whole community, in fact a nation, because we have over 4,000 people on the app, which is pretty new. It's pretty new app, but we already have 4,000 people in the app.
Wow, that's pretty great. Can you do this, doctor? This is very important. Can you, because we have a lot of ladies that have come into the chat room, can you, oops, I hit a wrong button. Can you explain how the types of foods that we are digesting into our system can impact the reproductive abilities, particularly of our females, because you do speak a lot about how it's affecting their estrogen, their when it comes to their THC levels, when they have period pain and things of that nature. Can you touch on that, sir?
Yes. So we live in a highly estrogenic environment, and estrogen is actually a carcinogen when it is uninhibited, when it's not regulated. Estrogen is actually very dangerous, a very dangerous steroidal hormone, right? And we're surrounded by it. So there are pollutants in the air that have an estrogenic effect on the body. There are substances in detergents, in makeup, in hair oils, right? So we all grew up using Vaseline, right? A lot of black people, that's all we used to use to oil our skin. Vaseline. Vaseline contains petrochemicals. These petrochemicals have a highly estrogenic effect. So when it absorbs through the skin into our bloodstream, it now becomes a toxin that impacts the reproductive organs, what we call endocrine disrupting chemicals. So they alter the way how our endocrine glands operate, and also will cause us to have an excess in estrogen, right? So not only do we have that, but there are also foodstuffs, like all animal products contain high levels of estrogen, and they actually are boosted with hormones, and the hormones are usually estrogens or progestins, right? So there's that. Then you have phytoestrogens, which are estrogen produced by plants. So they have this effect. Now here's the thing with black people. We as black people, we possess a genetic polymorphism with our estrogen receptors, right? Estrogen receptor alpha, there's a polymorphism which we upregulate or amplify, boost the effect of estrogen when it comes into our bodies. So what we do with estrogen, we amp it up, so it has a more devastating effect on us. So this is the reason why black women are 10 times more likely to have fibroids than white women. Now the number that's given out there in certain scientific journals and white papers is 3 to 5 times, but the number is actually 9.7 times, right? So when we ingest estrogenic substances as black people, we amplify the effect. So this is a reason why black men are 4 times more likely than white men to have prostate cancer, because prostate cancer is actually in its roots is caused by estrogen, right? It's not caused by testosterone as it was told erroneously, right? So there are foods like garlic, which garlic, as we know, is a herb that we add flavor to our foods, right? But garlic is highly estrogenic. So if you have a hormonal imbalance, and that's what estrogen dominance is, it's when you hear, oh, there's a hormonal imbalance. So when women are on their cycles and you hear, oh, while I'm on my cycle, I have a hormonal imbalance, that's actually a very severe, serious condition that has all kinds of ramifications, such as cancer, right? And a lot of black women will be palmed off with this hormonal imbalance, whereas it's an actual severe dysfunction to have where now you can have these reproductive issues. You can suffer with cancer. It also is immunomodulatory, which impacts and creates these autoimmune conditions, right? So there's garlic, there's things like when men and women drink beer, a lot of beer, hops is high. Hops are very high in estrogen. There's things like flax seeds, things like soy, right? Even cucumbers, there are phytoestrogens that affect how we express, or it's expressed more highly in us, how we upregulate the devastating effects. So estrogen attacks mitochondria when it gets into the cell. So mitochondria is the energy of the cell, the engine of the cell. When mitochondria is attacked, the cell starts to lose charge and energy, and that cell now becomes fodder or food, or is recognized as a foreign entity in the body, and that's where we'll get immune cells attacking normal cells that belong to us, and that creates tumor, that creates inflammation. So inflammation is like the #1 disease in the world, and it just rears its head in different ways, and each different way it rears its head, we give it a different name, right? So lupus is an autoimmune disease.
Yes.
But if it causes inflammation when the immune cells attack the body. Rheumatoid arthritis is another, autoimmune disease, right? So things like diabetes, where it's like a hybrid between a metabolic and an autoimmune disorder. We have situations like that. So estrogen causes inflammation in the body when it's not regulated, and we actually amplify the effects of estrogen by way of our estrogen receptor alphas, also by an enzyme called aromatase, which we as black people, we also produce more of that aromatase than everybody else. So an aromatase is an enzyme that converts androgens such as testosterone into estrogens. So not only are we doing that, converting androgens into estrogen, we then upregulate or amplify the devastating effects. So we have a double situation. So we have to be very careful what we eat, because we metabolize differently. So just by what I've just told you about how our estrogen receptors work and how we produce this enzyme, we metabolize. That's all metabolic. So with the same substance that we're given as white people, we create a different outcome. So same substance produces a different outcome within us. So we can't follow the same diet or lifestyles as white people, because we give it a different effect. There's a totally different effect where it's more devastating to us. So there are foods like fast foods. Now, I mentioned about makeup and shampoos and whatnot.
God, yes.
There's a substance called phthalates, right? Phthalates. Now, phthalates are highly estrogenic. They're endocrine disruptors. Now, there's been a whole thing recently about McDonald's and Burger King, right? And a lot of fast food places that you'll find in every black neighborhood in this country, wherever there's a intersection of any roads, you'll find McDonald's, Burger King, Waffle House, and all these fast food places. Chick-fil-A, we'll try to name all of them, right? But they actually wrap their foods in these plastics that seep into the food, and then we ingest them.
Right.
So not only, let's set aside that the food is poison anyway, right? How it's prepared, what's in it is already poison, but then you have this added issue of these phthalates, and phthalates basically are used to soften plastic, right?
Right.
So plastic is a hard substance, but with these phthalates, it makes it softer. With these phthalates, they also use it for fragrances. They use it as preservatives, right? In makeup. So makeup, like foundation and concealers that women are using on a daily basis, and lipsticks and eyeliners, they're all riddled with these phthalates, right? And it gets soaks in, gets absorbed into the skin, straight into the bloodstream. So we're being attacked on all fronts. And then this creates cancer. It creates inflammation, you know, and it rears its heads in the form of fibroids, prostate issues, diabetes, high blood pressure. So we have to address all of this, and we've been doing this for so long. But when COVID came around, now COVID was more impactful on people with these pre-existing conditions, these comorbidities, which were caused by McDonald's, Burger King, and all these places. And here's the thing: when they were trying to tell people to social distance and quarantine and don't go out and don't do this, they didn't tell them don't eat McDonald's. They didn't tell them don't eat Burger King. Don't go Waffle House. They should have locked up. Those should have been the restaurants that were locked up.
Locked down. Right.
Right. A lot of vital restaurants that got closed down because
essential.
A lot of restaurants, black-owned mom and pops restaurants, they didn't make it. But McDonald's and Burger King, they could survive because they had drive-thrus. But that's what was poisoning us in the first place.
So the bottom line is, when we get cancers and we come down with diabetes, it has everything to do with not only diet, but these poisonous products that we're using that we think is doing good for our hair, our skin, things that we're rubbing on our body, chemical lotions. My God.
And this is the thing, like a lot of women go to places like Body Shop. And you walk in there and you smell the fragrance. It all smells nice. It's like mango and lemon and lavender, all these fragrances. And they're artificial. They're not even real. And these artificial fragrances, they're riddled with phthalates. They're riddled with it. So again, straight into the skin, the lotions and all this. And we tell people, always read the labels. When you read the labels, you see that there's all these substances that are you can't even pronounce. All these chemicals, they're like 8 syllables, and it's like, what is that? When you buy something and it's a mango fragrance, you look, and it's supposed to be, and it says all natural. But when you actually read the ingredients, it's like you're reading a chapter.
Encyclopedia.
Right, you're reading a whole chapter of stuff, and that's just ingredients. So it's like, what are all these ingredients? And the FDA allows these things because all of these substances have to pass the FDA, and the FDA allows them. And remember, it's based on white biology,
not black biology.
Right. So what might work for them, again, we're absorbing it and metabolizing them, and it's killing us. Right. So black people are more likely to die at a young age from everything than everybody else, because of what we're ingesting on a daily basis. And then outside is bad enough. Outside is, like we're outside right now and there's pollution in the air, right? But the average household has 13 to 70 times more pollution in the air than outside. So what we have in our homes
is killing
what we have in the workplace, where we go and work every day, all the detergents and the bleaches and the furniture polish and the air fresheners, the Glade and all those things there, they are highly toxic and they're making us sick.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you speak on, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, it's endometrial? Endometriosis. I'm not even saying it correctly.
So endometriosis is another female reproductive disorder where endometrial tissue, which basically the endometrium is the lining of the uterus, which every month during the normal cycle, during ovulation, it causes the uterus wall lining to thicken, right? In preparation for an egg, a fertilized egg. Wow. In order to keep the egg safe during gestation. Now, if an egg is not fertilized
the lining is shed every month, right? Now,
Right.
this same lining, for some reason, with endometriosis or adenomyosis, grows outside of the uterus lining. It will grow on the ovaries, grow outside. It'll be what we call ectopic, right? Outside of the uterus, right?
Yes.
It grows on tissues and organs outside of the uterus. So this can grow on the lungs, on the kidneys, on the liver, on the brain, different areas, right? And it also follows the cycle. So every cycle of a woman, when she's supposed to shed her uterus, her endometrium, this in the form of blood, the same thing happens everywhere else. So these endometrial tissues are called implants.
Implants.
And when it's outside of the uterus, it causes inflammation, it causes pain, it causes lesions and adhesions. Lesions are scar tissue, and adhesions are basically damaged tissue, right? Damaged tissue which stick together and cause a whole bunch of pain, right? So endometriosis is like one of the most common cause for women to go into hospital.
ER, really.
Or to the ER, emergency, right? Due to this pain. So it's devastating, debilitating pains. It causes cysts. It causes a buildup of blood and form what we call chocolate cysts on the ovaries. But it also causes cysts at other places. So the pain is terrible. And women with endometriosis, they bleed heavier than women with any other condition. So a lot of women need to wear like diapers, adult diapers, when they're on their days. Plus, a lot of women also suffer with that debilitating pain where they can't function. So they may bleed 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, 24 days out of the month. Some women bleed constantly throughout their lives. So they're bleeding every day. So it's a serious condition, again, caused by estrogen dominance, and it responds to estrogen. So again, us as black people, black women, they have more estrogen expression than everybody else. They have a more high affinity, sensitivity to estrogen, so they suffer more pain. But the thing is, it takes 7 to 11 years to diagnose endometriosis. So a lot of young girls have it and they're in all this pain, but black women are told, oh, it's just a bit of, it's just your cycle.
Right.
And then they don't.
Let me just say this, because what's happening in the chat room is that a lot of people are very interested in where they can find you. So let me repeat to everybody, and this is very important. They're called the Great Black Detox. They have a YouTube channel. If you put that in a YouTube bar, you will find the Great Black Detox. Not only this, I want the mods in the chat room to drop their link periodically through the chat, because the link to their channel is in the description of this video. They also have an app. And before they leave today, I'm going to have the doctor and Mr. Briggs give all the information that they can availably give you, where you can get in contact with them. You need to start watching their channel. I was binge watching some of their videos this week. It's really powerful. If they have small clip podcasts that they put out that you need to be looking at. Sorry to interrupt you, doctor, but what's happening is that it seems that everyone is like, how can we reach these brothers? How can we? And I gotta promote that. We gotta promote and I will be promoting your channel on my streams periodically, because your information is powerful.
And we also have greatblackdetox.com, where we have our supplements and our detoxes. So you can actually go there. So like greatblackdetox.com/fibroids or greatblackdetox.com/endo, right? So we have landing pages where you can actually get our protocols which reverse these conditions. So we have detoxes, general detoxes. We also have greatblackdetox.com/prostate, which is for prostate issues. We have supplements for diabetes, for high blood pressure. So we cover everything that's been wreaking havoc in the black community.
And can I just add on that as well? Sorry,
Yes, sir.
I said, let me just take a back seat there.
But what we do have is a very powerful tool on our website called it's the My Condition tool. So if you go to greatblackdetox.com/My Condition, or it's in the menu, what it does, you can actually put in there any conditions you're suffering or you or a loved one are suffering from, and it will let you know what supplements you can take for that condition. And when you go to that condition and it spits it up, when you click on those supplements, it also gives you suggestions as to what you can eat. We have meal plans that go together with supplements as well. So one of the problems is that a lot of us face is that, remember, we're governed by convenience. We've been taught to go for the quickest, the cheapest, food or medicine that we can find. All of the stores that are created, all of the fast food restaurants, it's all about convenience. It's really about convenience. And to ensure that we come back, they make it tasty. I always laugh that one of the biggest epidemics we have is delicious. Delicious is one of the worst diseases that we all suffer from, because if they can use MSG and phthalates to make something taste good, we will always come back. We don't question the quality of the food or what it does to us, but it's goddamn tasty, right? And so that convenience is really conditioning our minds to always going back to those things. So now, bro, I'm sure you know this. People don't cook anymore. Nobody cooks.
Everybody eats out. The home cooked meal is becoming a dinosaur.
It's the rarest thing. When we meet women, we're even scared to ask, hey, do you cook? Right now, we actually cook as well. Don't get me wrong. But you know what I'm saying? It's like how we were raised is that everyone was more domesticated and we would actually cook. If you go to the grocery store now, the grocery part of the store is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. If you remember when we were growing up, the farmers markets and the supermarkets, they were half produce, a third to half groceries and produce, and the rest of it was convenience food. Now there's a small section when you go in on the right hand side, which is produce and groceries, produce and vegetables and plants, single ingredient foods, and the rest of the store is aisles, processed foods, processed sugars, canned foods, foods that aren't even actually foods. Foods that are actually, the ingredients don't include any vegetable or plant-based substance. They're actually all chemicals. We talk about Twinkies. We laugh about Twinkies all the time, especially in the confectionery section. Excuse
Honey
me.
buns, Twinkies.
There is no food in it. It's not even real dairy.
No value.
So you can't even say it's coming from a cow. So that convenience, and the reason why I want to bring this up, brother, is language. One of the things we find that we have to contend with a lot is people get an attitude. When you tell people that you're eating wrong, your lifestyle is wrong, and what you're drinking is wrong, they get an attitude. They think we're trying to, snatch candy from a baby. You have to understand is that it's not deliberate. It's not through wanting that black people are going to this. We have been conditioned. The neighborhoods we live in, the foods we're fed as kids,
Right.
the way our parents are conditioned, the whole latchkey thing is that it's not by choice, but by the time we're teenagers, all we know is convenience food, fast foods, microwave foods, fast food restaurants. Damn, we even work in fast food restaurants, right? And so
true.
people don't even realize. So if you put a vegetable in someone's face, listen, if that thing isn't sweet or salty or deep fried, we ain't looking at that crap. We're not looking at that crap. 10 years later, prostate cancer, fibroids, cancers, diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. Obesity is at the root of many of the conditions we face because the body is using so much of its energy, so much of its resource just to try and get nutrients around our overweight bodies. It can't even cure naturally some of the things we come in contact with. Even hay fever. I've developed hay fever recently. I never used to have it because since I've been here, my body's acclimated to, or it's fighting to acclimate because I've not been getting enough of the local pollen. Okay, so I got to use pollen therapy to get my body more acclimated, and it's simple things like this that we're avoiding.
But here's another thing, right? What I was telling you earlier on today.
Yeah,
they're bringing in plants and trees from foreign places.
Yep.
And they're planting there's an overload of male plants and trees, so there's an overload of pollen. And a lot of the trees are GMO. So the pollen they're producing are genetically modified.
Yep.
So it's what we call immunomodulatory. So it's changing, it's basically making our immune system more sensitive, which means that we're creating more autoimmune diseases by trees that are being planted.
Right.
Most
definitely.
So that's just from trees. So when we go outside now, everybody's starting to get rashes and get lung issues going on, skin irritation and whatnot, because of what's being put into our environment. Now, the situation of obesity, 75% of black women in the United States of America are obese. That's 3 out of 4. 3 out of every 4 black women, right, in the United States are obese because of the types of food, by the way how foods are being prepared, by the amount of fast foods, by the amount of not cooking at home, the amount of buying Pizza Hut, the amount of going McDonald's every morning to buy your Happy Meal or whatever, all these places, even going out to restaurants. Restaurants are businesses, so they buy the cheapest ingredients and they charge as much as they can. So when you go out and you're buying and you think, all right, let me get the salad. What is in the salad? And then what is being used in the salad dressings, the vinaigrettes and those things. They're all made by synthesized chemicals that have flavoring. But all these things that we ingest, they're creating obesity. And black women are at the worst. 75% are obese. That means that 85% are overweight, which means that only 15% of black women are actually at the correct weight for their height, or the correct body mass index, which is terrible.
Doctor, on the flip side of this, doctor, can you briefly, because I do have a male audience too. On the flip side of this, can you speak upon how we're also black men are being impacted along with black women in this area of obesity, and how the poor food is affecting us too? Because we're both impacted.
So here's the thing. So black men, again, we also possess the same genetic polymorphisms with our estrogen receptor alphas, right? And so we're absorbing, or we have this same affinity. So we're more impacted by those foods as well. So even though it's not as bad as 75%, it's actually 60% with men, which is more than half of us, right? So we see it every day, and it's only when we talk about it that people will say, all right, I don't believe them numbers. And then they go out and they start looking around. They start going to the malls and stuff, and they see how many black men are overweight and obese. And clothing, when you go to clothing stores, the amount of XXX, XXX, 4X, like we're from the UK, we never knew there was a 4X. We didn't know there was 3X. The largest people were XXL.
Wow.
Right? We come to this country now, it's 4XL, 5XL. It's like, what are they feeding these people? And it's all normal foods. And here's the thing. So when we can't break down foods, we store it as fat. So foods that we do not digest, or we're unable to digest, we store it as fat. Fat is basically energy stores. Right. So we're going to store that energy for later. We don't know what this substance is, but it might be good. So we're going to park it up around the buttocks, around the thighs, around the gut, around the neck, on the arms or whatever, till later. But when adipose tissue increases, it becomes dysfunctional and it starts to attack us. So adipocytes are actually part of the endocrine system. They have their own use, but there's a point, a threshold, where it starts to act dysfunctionally and starts to create inflammation, starts to produce more inflammatory cells and attack us. So there's nobody who's obese who doesn't suffer with inflammation. Every person who is obese, they're suffering with inflammation, physically and psychologically. So depression and anxiety increases once that threshold of adiposity increases, right? Once you go past that threshold, we become more anxious, we become more depressed, we become more sensitive to what's going on around us. So we're being attacked physically and psychologically.
So men, right now, over the last decade, mental illness awareness has increased among black men, which goes right along with the increase in obesity, right? So black and here's the thing with black women, right? I don't mean to jump back and forth. A lot of black women take antidepressants for their depression, and then that antidepressants are estrogenic, so it feeds into the reproductive disorders.
So exacerbates the whole cycle.
Exactly.
So when men are put onto antidepressants, it makes us more prone to prostate issues, makes us more prone to heart disease. So heart disease is like the #1 killer of black people, of everybody in this country. But we're at the worst.
Yeah.
We're suffering more than everybody else.
Absolutely. And just to add that again, Dr. Amsu again always breaks it down perfectly, is the normalization of not just these conditions, but of body image and body size, right? So the black community has now normalized, a lot of men and women. Men want to be bulked up. They want to be, they don't want to use the word thick because it's women that want to be thick, right? But you have to understand that is fat. That is excess body fat. That is white adipose tissue. Now, there was a time, and a lot of men, there were, black men, very athletic. And a lot of us, when we're in school, we play sports, they push us to play soccer and, American football. And we're very athletic, but the problem with American football, for one of the examples, is that they do encourage the increase in weight. And kids 11, 12 years old, in middle school, are being bulked up. They're having pasta parties for these kids because they want these kids to bulk up, and they want to gain the extra weight. So you got kids that are in high school who are 200 plus pounds already when they're 13, 14, 200 plus pounds already, getting close to 300 pounds, and it's encouraged. They're taking human growth hormones. It's encouraged. It's normalized that a man should be big and stout, and not through natural means. And we're talking about through toxins and through excess food. Women now want to be thick. Okay, they're not necessarily want to be healthy or cut. If you remember back in the 80s and 90s, it was all about being ripped and cut. Now it's about putting on that excess fat. They're normalizing grades or levels of obesity. As Dr. Amsu is saying, what comes with the obesity is the increased risk of disease, right? And so that's why it's so important that we really do tackle things like obesity and the diet and the lifestyle, not because we're lifestyle police, well, we are sometimes actually, but it's about we're terrible. Yeah, don't go to a restaurant with us.
We heckle everybody, man. We out here heckling.
Don't go to a restaurant with us, but it's the conditions that are spurned by this and what it's doing to our community. We talk about mental health. Mental health condition of the black community has decreased exponentially in the last 35 years. And we can share some stats. You go to the website and some of the sessions that we've talked about the decrease in the stability of mental health. We're seeing more suicides, more attempted suicide, more black people at a very young age on psychotropic drugs,
more slaps on the Oscars.
I wanted to
that as well. You can go and check it out. Go ahead.
I wanted to touch on that because you all did a podcast where you talked about the lack that black people, depending on where we live in the world, we definitely need to get D3, vitamin D3 in our system. And when we have a lack of vitamin D in our system, particularly D3, that can lead to mental health. I work in mental health as a therapist, by the way. That can lead to depression, anger, as you spoke of, right? All these disorders that come about when we're losing the D3, the melanin, the way the melanin works with vitamin D. We need to really get out in the sun to let the sun, so it can absorb that energy from the sun. Does that play into what you're talking about right now, brother?
Absolutely. So here's the thing, right? So vitamin D3 is a hormone. It's an immunomodulatory hormone, right? It has so many functions, but one of its best functions is that it is an antimicrobial. That means it fights viruses and bacteria. But while it's fighting viruses and bacteria, it also modulates inflammatory cells, meaning it regulates and it inhibits these cells in our bodies that cause inflammation.
right? So so not only does it protect us from these viruses and bacteria, but it also inhibits inflammation. So inflammation affects the way how what we call the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the way how these three glands process or communicate, the exchange in chemicals, right, between the three, right? Now, when we have when it's hyperactive, we are anxious and we become depressed easily. Vitamin D3 modulates that, it regulates that so that we stay calm. It keeps us happy. That's why everybody loves the sunshine. So we get our D3 normally, naturally, from UVB, from the sun. Now, in most places, anywhere above 35 degrees latitude in the United States, which is basically at the top corner of Georgia, and if we follow that across the United States to California, it's right just a bit above like LA, right?
Right.
So when we live in LA and in Georgia, we get UVB all year round. But when you're anywhere above 35 degrees latitude, you don't get any UVB for like 5-6 months out of the year. If you're not getting any UVB, you're not synthesizing any vitamin D3. That means that you're going to be more depressed. That means that you're going to be more prone to infection. There is no such thing as cold and flu season. It's actually vitamin D3 deficiency or UVB deficiency season, right? So as soon as the sun starts to come out again, spring, summer, that's where you have the least amount of viral infections or bacterial infections because we're loaded up on vitamin D3. Now, here's the thing with black people now. Another disadvantage. So we have melanin. Our melanin is a natural UVB protectorant, meaning that it inhibits how quickly we absorb UVB. It protects us from the sun's rays. So we have to be out in the sun for like an hour or two every day to get our full vitamin D synthesis from the sun. White people can go out into the sun for 15 minutes and get all the vitamin D they need. We need to be out there longer. So black women actually need to be in the sun more than everybody else. So vitamin D deficiency is the true pandemic, and especially among people of color, and especially among black women. So lack of vitamin D3 is what's responsible, one of the cofactors, one of the major cofactors for fibroids, for endo, for PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, for now infertility because of all the inflammation that's taking place within the womb and all the autoimmune diseases such as multiple sclerosis, such as lupus and that, because we're not getting enough sun. And when we do live in places where there is sun, we hide from it. So we're in the shade. We want the air on and all that kind of stuff. So we stay inside. We don't go out enough. You know, it's crazy.
Okay. All right. Looked like the system had threw me out, but I came back in, Doc. So I'm glad that you were continuing to talk while I was having some technical problems. Can we? Because I'm not going to take up all your time today because we're going to definitely have to do this again when I can get you brothers in the actual studio. Next time I want you in the studio. But check this out.
That was the plan. Yeah.
No, that's okay. It's a beautiful day out there where you are. Sugar. I heard you brothers talking about how we need to stay away from that one of the most, I think, dangerous drugs ever was, is that sugar.
Right. So sugar basically interferes with neurotransmitters, right? So sugar stimulates the same parts of the brain as crack cocaine, right? So it's a very strong neurotoxin. It's an excitotoxin. Right. So it burns out neurons. So it creates a burst of energy because it titillates the neurons. So it excites them and then it burns out. And when we burn out, it's a crash. So that's why you hear things like sugar rush and then sugar crash.
I used
So
to
it
hear
goes
that all
from
the
rush
time.
to crash. And we give this to our children. Children love sugar. They love sweets. Even as adults, we love them. But it's most devastating when the neurological networks are being formed. And that's done in children. So when with that being destroyed or being disrupted, this is why now there's like a whole explosion in neurological conditions and behavioral conditions like ADD, ADHD, and all the other things where they're now putting little children onto these prescription medications and making them docile or, dulling down their temperament, where natural hyperactive behavior is normal in children, but they're being diagnosed now, and sugar is partly to blame, and things like these things like chips and whatever.
Wow, man. Let me go ahead and ask you this question here, if you don't mind. I think I might have touched on it earlier in the show, but I think for the purpose, people need to hear this. You made statements on your program that birth control is a slow killer to young women and women in general, and to the point that it can lead to cancer. Can you explain the dangers of birth control? And you're right. We live in a society where birth control is put on our young ladies even before they're even sexually active. What is that doing to them?
All right, so it's doing everything wrong it's doing to them. Again, birth controls are basically a way in which the endocrine system is being fooled into believing that a woman is pregnant. So the pituitary gland, which plays a major part in producing gonadotropin releasing hormone. So it produces different hormones that stimulate for the release of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, which are responsible for women's cycle and the ability to even become pregnant, right? The production of eggs, right? In the releasing of eggs and follicles. So that's being disrupted, where ovulation is not taking place. The ability to ovulate. Now, the ability to ovulate has all types of different processes that it plays a major part. When there's no ovulation, it disrupts even the immunomodulatory functionality of humans, right? So the way how women behave when they're ovulating, that's disrupted. And there's a whole bunch, we talk about the psychological side of things. So ovulation actually make women more happy. When women are not ovulating, they become more depressed. They're more high risk of dysfunctional behavior. But this disruption in the hormone cycle causes dysfunctional behavior, right? Not only that, we talk about, the mental health side, suicidal thoughts. So this disruption in the HPA axis, again, this hyperactive HPA axis causes depression, causes anxiety, which, not only that, the World Health Organization, WHO, classifies birth control as a group 1 carcinogen. It causes cancer. So outside of behavior, outside of, not ovulating, it actually causes cancer. It causes thromboembolism. It causes blood clotting. Right? So there's a plethora. It causes disruption in the microbiome.
Stop right there, Doctor. I got to tell you a story. When I was in college, all due respect to you, there was a young lady that I knew in college who got a procedure to have fat, or how people get these procedures to get fat off their body. She had a procedure that was done to her thighs and leg area, and then she went home, and of course she did take birth control, and she got blood clots. Because a lot of times when I hear about Black people getting these blood clots, I always wonder to myself, is there something else to it? Because she was relatively an active person, but she went for a procedure that you could say is a risky procedure, but she died of the blood clots. And she was heavily using birth control. I knew her personally.
So,
wow.
Very quickly, so there's a lot going on there, right? And so, you know, we have to be very careful. I know, you know, you're speaking in the past tense, and there could be a number of reasons exacerbating issues as to why, you know, she may have passed on, and sorry to hear that.
Yes, sir.
The number one reason people die in America is medical accident. Okay? Despite the sugars, despite the phthalates, despite the poisons, despite all the sodiums, despite the lifestyle, a lot of these things we do end us up in hospital. The minute you go under the knife, regardless of the procedure and the way they market it, oh, this is an outpatient procedure, you'll be in and out in an hour. It's a small incision. It's endoscopic. You know, we stick a tube in. We don't even make a big incision. They make everything sound casual. But anytime you slice an incision in the skin, no matter how small, you introduce the risk of inflammation. You introduce the risk of infection, sepsis, and death. Blood clotting. Because remember, the body, anytime anything foreign enters the body tries to fight it. The body sends out its soldiers. Something's coming to the body. Let's go and protect it. That could even be a medical device. So a lot of times people go for these procedures. Yes, pre-existing conditions is obvious. If you have high blood pressure, you have diabetes, you're on birth control, you're more susceptible to things like clotting. But if you didn't go under the knife in the first place, that would be reduced as well. So you actually made a very good point, and there's a very poignant anecdote in that so many women now, there's a huge thing, the BBLs. And an interesting thing, it's not only women doing BBLs. You know, people think that we're getting on women. Disproportionately, it's more women. But men are getting fake biceps, fake triceps, fake abs. I'm sure you've seen these things online. They are going for medical procedures, oftentimes in places that have questionable medical practices, because it's cheaper, or we have these plastic surgery vacations. People are going on to the DR and Mexico and South Asia and things like that to go and get these quick fixes so that their bodies can look tight the quick way. But they're increasing danger. We hear so many stories of people who die on operating tables in foreign countries because they've gone for quick procedures. So yes, very sorry to hear that, but absolutely, when you're on birth control, when you're on high blood pressure medications, you're on any of these other blood thinners and so on and so forth, you increase the risk of thrombosis and death, especially when you go for medical procedures where they're opening you up.
Right. You're 100% right. More people are dying in this country due to medical procedures. There's been books and studies on the hospitals, the medical systems in this country, and how it's impacting our populations. Go right ahead, doctor.
And this is the thing, right? So here's what's almost like culture with Black people. We always go to the ER. We never, you know, take our time and book with our, you know, our GP or whatever, our general practitioner. We don't take our time like, all right, we're going to relax and, you know, nice and gently book an appointment for a procedure or whatever. We always do when it's like it's falling off.
It's too late.
We call an ambulance, right? Like straight to the ER. And at the ER, you waive a lot of rights. So when it's in the ER where a lot of rights are waived, where it's like, we'll do whatever it takes because it's an emergency to make you better, and we'll sign it off. We don't even read the small print. No. We just sign it away, right? And we're worried more about the insurance side and how we're not going to pay it, right? And then they perform these procedures, even experimental procedures, then we die. Yes. But we can't even do anything about it because we signed a waiver.
Yes.
Yeah. A great number of hysterectomies happen whilst doing other procedures,
right?
Because you sign a waiver, and if they go in, if they make a mistake or they see something they feel they can't handle, right, let's take the whole thing out, because they'd rather take the whole the womb out than have to deal with the medical malpractice. You see, because once the womb is gone, you can't say, well, you damaged my ovary. They're gone.
And they do the same thing during child labor.
Yeah.
So the C-section is becoming more of the norm than natural childbirth. Epidurals and these procedures which ramp up a bill and also cause things like postpartum depression, right? By the chemicals that they're using in these procedures and you know, what have you, they're becoming more commonplace, and they actually use psychological warfare on especially young women who are having their first child. They'll tell them, oh, your heart rate of the child is going up.
Yeah.
The child is in distress. We have to do a C-section because you're not ready, you know, and the child. So they're fooling a lot of young girls and young mothers into C-sections. And C-sections are just a serious procedure. And a lot of deaths are taking place due to C-sections. But these are just a few of the things that's going on in hospitals.
Okay. All right, brother. This is what I'm going to do. Everybody in the chat, I can't control the echo effect that's coming from my mic for some reason, but you can hear them clear. That's why I'm trying to talk as minimum as I can. I thank you all for being here in the chat room. I want to give everybody a clap out there. Thank you, everybody. Queen, I know I am. Victorious, I see all of you in there. Angelica, I see you all in there. You're making great points. When at the end of this, I'll have a chance to probably maybe have a panel and bring some of you all up to get your thoughts. But brothers, what I have here is I have three more questions for you. Just 3 more questions of your time. And I want to go into this area here, and then we'll be at a conclusion, and then we'll book another time to bring you all on again, because I know you're out there. It's a lovely day in Atlanta where you are. Let's talk about veganism. People rave about being a vegan and how that is the way to go. Be a vegan. Don't eat foods that are animal products. However, on your channel, you talked about how people need to be aware of whether they're eating real vegan food, that's processed vegan food that you find in stores. Can you speak to that?
All right. So we have this saying where we say, don't give up animal toxins to now put plant-based toxins into you, right? So yes, we all know that animal products are bad for you. Animal meats and, you know, dairy, all of that, it's all terrible. But when you go vegan, it's important that you're eating whole foods. You're not eating and the whole foods that you eat, make sure it's organic, make sure it's not GMO, genetically modified, right? And we also encourage people to supplement. The reason why we have our herbal supplement company, Electric Food, is because a lot of the soil, most of the soil, especially here in North America, is depleted of its minerals. Then you have the Monsanto effect. You have the genetically modified soils, fertilizers, pesticides, these suicide seeds, what they call them, Roundup, which you know, they're finding out how much cancer that's causing.
Right. Remember, there was a brother who sued them. Remember that brother that I did a story on my channel a long time ago. He actually sued Monsanto's. He sued them and got a big pay out of it. But they tried to weasel themselves out of that situation. It was crazy.
Right. I mean, you know, this goes back to IG Farben. This is one of the first pharmaceutical companies of all times, right? They have so much money, they can afford a lawsuit here and there. But we as black people, we're so afraid of court. We believe that if we go into a civil suit, we could end up in jail. Somehow it's gonna turn criminal and we end up in jail.
Tell the truth.
You know, we have to learn to fight these things, but we have to avoid situations by reading labels, not going. So we always talk about when you go into any kind of superstore, whatever, stay off the aisles, stay on the outside, even if whether you're eating meat or you're eating plants, right? Plant-based foods. Go and buy the actual thing. Don't go in the aisles where it's all processed. Don't go to the refrigerators or to the, you know, to the freezers where it's all, you know, processed and denatured. So veganism, or see, I wear leather like this. What I'm wearing today is a leather sleeve, right?
Right.
I'm not an animal lover. I'm not an animal lover. I'm Jamaican. So we don't even name our animal. We don't name our dogs. You know, we don't name our cats. We don't name our dogs, right? So I wear leather. I will wear fur. So technically I'm not a vegan. I've had vegans say, "You're not a vegan." I'm like, all right, you can keep vegan then. I'm just not going to eat animals, right? But when you eat plant-based foods, you also have to know if you have a condition, if that particular food will agonize your condition, right?
Wow.
Meaning it will promote it or not. So we have to be very careful with what we ingest, even if it's plant-based. So women who suffer with fibroids or any reproductive disorders, there's a whole bunch of plant-based foods that we advise and recommend that they omit while they're suffering with an estrogen dominance related disease. So I've written a book called Got Fibroids, the Fibroid Elimination Bible, which is all about female reproductive disorders, and we have in there foods to cut out, foods to incorporate. And you know, our fibroid program and our endo program and those, they also have meal plans. So you actually, not only do we tell you what you should eat, we tell you how to prepare it and a whole bunch of different recipes. So again, that's also available at greatblackdetox.com. So there's a lot that we have to take you know, we have to become responsible for our lifestyle and diets, where we're taking heed. We're not just leaving it to outside forces, because when we leave it to outside forces, we end up in hospital or worse, in the ground.
Oh, brother, let me say this to you. I have the next question as we get close to the conclusion is I had a chance to look at one of your videos, and just so everybody knows, they have doctors. You have female doctors who have come on your show. So for some of you out there who say, hey, we're only getting it from a male perspective, these brothers have brilliant sisters that they bring on their show that are doctors who also give a perspective. So you got a complete male and female perspective coming from their platform. Keep that in mind. And I'm sorry if you're hearing an echo, ladies and gentlemen, from me. And I think I know what's happening, but I can't control it right now. But they're not hearing an echo from you. Your sound is coming out clear, and that's the most important sound right now, as far as I'm concerned, what you brothers are talking about. But this was the one that we want to hear about. The K2, talk about the K2, how it helps your blood in conjunction with the D3 vitamins.
All right, so vitamin K helps with
vitamin K. That's right, vitamin K. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. K2 is correct as well, because there's different types of K, right? But it helps with blood flow and coagulation, the ability for blood clotting and what have you. And when it comes to blood, right? Our blood is responsible for carrying nutrients around the body, right? Nutrients, hormones, enzymes, peptides, right? Or toxins, right? So our blood vessels are responsible. Our blood cells are carriages that carry cargo. And the quality of blood determines how well we carry, how efficiently we carry nutrients around the body when they are being dispersed by the liver to, you know, assigned to specific organs and tissues and cells, right? So vitamin K helps with blood quality, right? Which is absolutely essential. So with vitamin D and other hormones that help to protect us, it's important that the integrity of blood cells are there to be able to carry other, you know, whether it's vitamin B complex or vitamin C, E, whatever. Vitamin K plays a major role in the quality of blood.
Okay. Wow. The next question to the last question I'm going to ask is this particular area. Explain more of the effects of fruits and vegetables in terms of how they stabilize and give an electric charge to the membrane. We always talk about the membrane in the body. Can you elaborate on that as well, doctor?
Okay, so in fruits, and you know, I have to speak high level because there's different types of fruits and they all have their specific nutrients, right? But everything that we ingest is all about mitochondria and the ability of ADP and ATP, right? Which is to do with energy, the energy of a cell and the charge of a cell, and the ability to utilize energy. So everything is about, the reason why we eat, it's about energy and replenishing of energy to cells. How vibrant we are, how vital we are, our vitality and our energy levels on whole are all down to cellular, intracellular chelation on how we process nutrients, how efficient they are to the nucleus of the cell and of the the mitochondria, which is the engine that drives the cell. So the ability of cells to perform their duties is dependent upon how well the engine, how efficient the engine in the cell is, right? So gene expression, the actual, so genes are there to tell a cell how to perform its duty, right?
Yes.
So the reason a cell, what's the purpose of a cell? It's to carry out this function. How well does it carry out that function is determined by how well oiled that engine is, the machine inside it is, right? So the quality of food that we eat, the nutrition that we absorb and ingest and metabolize determines how well our cells are performing the codes, DNA and gene expression, how it's doing its duty. So the quality of food,
yes, sir,
that we eat, and even how we discard pollutants, toxins. So there are organs and cells in our bodies that their whole purpose is to get rid of toxins, because we know there are things that we don't choose to eat. So when you go outside and you breathe, you don't know what you're breathing in.
Woo! Ain't
right?
that the truth?
So we don't choose what we breathe in. We can choose to have, all right, I'm choosing the Chardonnay, the 1913 Chardonnay. We chose that. So we know, all right, it's alcoholic and whatever, but we might choose it because of certain nutrients, resveratrol or whatever. But when you go outside or you're inside and you have pollutants around you, you don't choose to ingest that. So there are cells in our bodies, there's functions, processes that are there to get rid of those things. So the quality of foods, the nutrients that we eat determine that. And the best nutrients, and more studies are being done on the flavonoids and polyphenols that are found in plants and in fruits. And, the more studies that are being done, is the more scientific community is confirming that the best way to eat is plant-based, is in fruits.
Plant-based. Okay, plant-based. Wow. Doctor, I really enjoy both of you being here with me today. But this is a question that was asked earlier on. And when we talked about petroleum-based chemicals such as Vaseline, a lot of folks were asking what would be the alternative for people to use instead of using these petroleum-based products or Vaseline as we know it as. What would be an alternative to that, doctor?
All right, very simple. Things like shea butter, coconut oil, hemp seed oil, jojoba oil, the oils, natural oils,
Yes.
natural oils, not processed oils. We're talking about virgin oils, unprocessed, unrefined. So stuff that we just named them. I use shea butter and coconut oil on my skin. In the winter, I more use shea butter because it manages to keep vapor moisturized. It keeps the skin moisturized than oils. But in summer, I'll more likely use coconut oil, right?
Right.
But natural oils. And even if you go to somewhere and it says it's coconut oil or it's whatever type of oil, read the label.
Yeah.
Make sure it's 100%. Don't get something that is got other things added, because those additives are what's going to get you. Those are the toxins.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, brother, let me just say, well said, Dr. Amsu. And we got my man, Mr. Breaks. Once again, before you leave, we will have to do this again, and hopefully we can get you in your studio. But let everybody know again, because people are going to ask this, even though the description of their video, of their YouTube channel, is in this video. And I'll probably put additional information into this video myself. But until then, remind everybody where they can find everything they need in terms of getting in connected with YouTube brothers, whether it be them being able to, maybe, even if it's them trying to get personal counseling from you. How can they get in contact with you and follow you throughout the social media? Go right ahead.
Yeah. So very simply, so Great Black Detox is a very unique name. So Great Black Detox on Instagram, you'll find us. GreatBlackDetox.com is our website. And from that website, you'll get links to everywhere. Okay. Now, Dr. Amsu has an Instagram. It's dr.amsu, dr.amsu. And on there, you'll see a link tree, as well as on our Great Black Detox IG, the Great Black Detox IG, there's a link tree. And from that link tree, you'll see links to book consultations. You'll see links to the website. You'll see links to our main kits. When we have specials going on, next week, Thursday, we're doing a special live Zoom Q&A. One of our main affiliates, in fact, is White Yardie. He's a big Jamaican comedian out of the UK. And he did our detox last year. It was very successful. He got a lot of people in Jamaica and Canada and the UK. We're doing a special with him next week, Thursday. We do weekly lives. We haven't done it for the last month because we've been rebuilding the studio and doing a few bits and pieces there. But we do weekly live sessions, live Q&A sessions. We're going to reinstate those, as well as the app. If you download the app, the Great Black Detox app, you can join one of the groups in the app. You can ask questions in the app. And on the website, we have a 24/7 customer service. We have a chat bot. We have an FAQ. If you have any questions, you can drop us an email, support@greatblackdetox.com. Ask any question you like. You can ask questions in the app. You can ask questions on IG. There is no way you can't get to us. But if you search for the Great Black Detox in Google, our Google business comes up and you can get us from there. Absolutely.
And another thing as well, you know, we love to educate people, but the most important thing is that we produce the remedies.
Yeah.
So the supplements that we do, we've managed to reverse many conditions. You know, thousands of women worldwide have eliminated their fibroids without surgery by way of our program, our fibroid elimination. Same with the endometriosis, the same with polycystic ovary syndrome. In fact, my niece, right, one of my nieces, she was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, and they told her, you're never going to have children. So I said to her, stop crying, you know, because she was crying. I'm going to send you my formulas. And within 6 months, she got pregnant, went full term, and she has a child.
Yeah.
So infertility, which is, you know, which is part and parcel of a lot of these disorders, our supplements give the body all the nutrition it needs to heal itself. And that's the thing. We don't say we have the cure. We say we have the nutrients so that your body cures itself. The body heals itself. So greatblackdetox.com, we have supplements, we have protocols, we have detoxes, specifically, whether it's general people just want to lose weight, they want to turn over a new leaf, and they know they got, you know, some kind of underlying condition. We have different detoxes, we have different supplements. And that's the main thing what we do. You know, I'm an herbalist. Even though my field of study is endocrinology and metabolism, I'm an herbalist. So I put together formulas based upon my knowledge to help Black people first and foremost.
Wow. How can I say this? I want to give you another clap again. And I would like to say that I will be in contact with you, Doctor. We're going to have to have more sessions. Your information is a world of wealth. It's powerful. And I'm going to be making sure this particular video today is pushed out there for all to see. I need everybody in the chat room, if you enjoyed this video, the discussion today, the vital information, share this video on all of your social media. You need to get this video to your friends, your loved ones, your girlfriends, guys out there that are listening. If you have a wife, a daughter, this needs to be gotten out there to everyone in your family to watch. And what I want out of this is I want people to subscribe to their YouTube channel, seek out their other social media sites, their website, and begin to learn. And if you want personal confrontation, you want personal counseling, get in contact with them and get it started today. If you feel you need to get things turned around in your life as it relates to your diet, your health, well, not diet, because this should be a lifestyle. That word diet, I don't like. It's about your lifestyle, a complete lifestyle and how you live. Brothers, I would like to say to you, Dr. Amsu, and to Mr. Breaks, thank you for being on today. I want to thank you for giving us of your time. I know it's beautiful out there. There's a lot going on out there where you are right now, but enjoy your time out. And hopefully we can do this again and we can get you in your studio. And I was having some, I think I know what the problem is. Usually when people are using a cell phone, right?
Right.
And I'm inside of my studio, there's audio sound because they usually say, well, wear a headset because people can hear you, but my audio is off. And I know why, because the cell phones really sometimes cause problems because of the Wi-Fi and everything. So I'm hoping that next time we do this, that we can get you in that manicured studio and, you know, the whole 9 yard again at some point in time. So thank you, brothers, again. A clap to you again.
All right.
Take care there.
Appreciate
you too. You are the best. We got to do it again. The information was vital. People are loving the information. That's what it's all about. Thank you again.
All right, take care, please.
Take care. Peace. All right, everybody. There it is. That is the Great Black Detox that were on this show. They happened. They were supposed to be on the show a week ago. And remember, we had a situation in Mason, Tennessee, where I was able to get the vice mayor on this channel. And I had to rearrange the schedule for them to come on this week because of the fact that that was like a breaking news to be able to get some additional news about the situation in Tennessee. And they were very hospitable to that. And they decided to come on with me today. They're out and about in Atlanta, Georgia, having a good time. But guess what? Even though there was some sound distortion on my side, some reverb, the bottom line is you could hear them, and that was the most important thing. Now what I want to do is I want to thank someone who has been heavily supportive of this show over the years, and that is Back to the Basics. Thank you for the Cash App, $100 Cash App. I really appreciate that you blessed me with the $100 Cash App. I really appreciate that, my sister. You've been very supportive behind the scenes. You're always here watching the videos. You're sharing the videos in your social media. I want to thank everybody out there. So what I want to do is I want to go back into my other system here, change a few things. But the most important thing is that you could hear what they were saying, even if, because I was asking them questions, but you notice I tried to be quiet as much as I can and let the doctor talk. Let Mr. Breaks talk, and then when it was necessary for me to ask another question, I went on and did it because it was more important for you to hear what he had to say. And for you to, for those of you out there that are wondering, yes, he is a real doctor. He ain't a fake doctor, someone who's just, you know, using the name for a persona. He is a real doctor. Let me just say this. Queen, I know I am. Let me just greet some people because I didn't want to cut in and call out names because, of course, my sound was distorted. So that would have been irritating for you to hear. But if you can do me the biggest favor and let me know if the sound that I'm speaking right now to you is coming out nice and crispy or clear than it was before, just let me know by putting a 1 in the chat room while I call people out. So back, Queen, I know I am. Thank you for coming over. By the way, the elder was on my channel when I did the video. Make sure you check out that video that I did about that preacher. That Bishop Reed character, he's a despicable. We got Keith in the house, Keith Weston, who's another big supporter of the channel, as many people are. We've got my man, Identity Withheld, saying, what's up, information man? Your sound is great. Yeah, it's great now. The part of the problem is that I wasn't expecting them to be outside. I thought they were going to be in their studio. So that's the reason why the sound came out kind of weird, because they're out there outside. They're using Wi-Fi and it's fluctuating, and it also ended up affecting my sound because they didn't have a headset. They didn't have earphones in. Had they been inside their studio, it would have been a cleaner, stronger sound on my part. So, but the bottom line is you could hear them clearly, and that's what it counts. So thank you, Identity Withheld. Oh my God, we got BB Scratcher, who, by the way, I got to apologize to you, sister, because we were supposed to do a show together. Originally, you contacted me, and I'm sorry that I have been derelict in us getting that show going. But if you want to still do that show together, give me another email and we'll try to get that off the ground. I want to recognize the fact that we were supposed to do something together a long time ago, and I want to apologize for that not happening as of yet. So let me know the subject matter again. I know you have expertise when it comes to employment issues and rights, and we still want to do that show together. Let me go here and say we got TW, and I want to give a shout out to the 5 Black Comics. It was Tanya, the sister who's a part of the 5 Black Comics on YouTube, who turned me on to dr.amsu and told me about these brothers. And so that's where the connection was met right there. So TW is a part of that channel over there. So TW, thank you for coming over. Now I want to say most respect to Life with Susie Q. Thank you for coming over. Good to see you. Let me see here. Judah Queen is in the house. Hope I'm saying names correct. I'm always pretty bad with names, but I did the best I can. We got Sister Nate A from I See You All the Time over there in Leonard Honors channel when he gets into it about Umar Johnson.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
We got Love to Travel with Wave. And Angelica was in that chat room dropping some signs. All of you were dropping some powerful statements, I gotta say. I hope that I was able, or some of your questions was answered. I know he's a doctor. He used a lot of words, and I wanted to say to him, if we would have had more time, I wanted him to break down some of the definitions he was using. I know that there's definitions that people were able to recognize, and there's some definitions that maybe people may not have been sure about. So next time I have them on, we're gonna go a little bit longer where we can break down some of these definitions so that people can completely comprehensively understand exactly what certain terms that he was using mean. If you are someone out there that some terms you weren't familiar with, and maybe some terms you were familiar with, but this is a very educated, a very savvy audience that I have here on this program. We don't have drama over here. We don't have nonsense. We don't traffic in talking about issues that have no bearing on our long-term life. I got to be honest with you. A show like this, I should have had 100, 200, 300, 500 people watching, because these are the type of issues that we need to be focusing on. You heard what he was saying about the foods that we eat, how the products that we use, how they're impacting our women's menstrual cycle. They're impacting the male hormones, testosterone of men, how it's making us angry. Eating, remember some of you who have been following me for a long time, you might remember I had the Minister of Health on this channel. He talked about G-bombs. He talked about about fried foods and how eating fried foods puts you in an out of balance. And they've done studies in prison where they gave certain inmates a steady diet of fried foods, and they gave the other inmates a diet of non-fried foods, and the inmates that were eating fried foods were more angrier, more violent, and what have you. The food that we eat affects our mind, our body, and our spirit. And this is another thing, just because we have melanin, we are still melanin, we are still vitamin D deficient. Let me tell you why. And I studied this in school. When you have melanin, when you are a person who has a dark pigmentation, what happens is the pigmentation, the melanin in your skin, the darker you are, works as a protector from the sun's rays. When the sun shoots at your skin, it kills the cells in your body, and your body rapidly makes more cells. Well, it's harder for the sun's rays to penetrate the melanin to destroy the cells, which is why black people tend to have less wrinkler skin as we get older, and we tend to have natural oils in our skin, which keeps our skin looking pretty good if you take care of yourself, which is henceforth why people always say black don't crack. Okay. So he's saying that so it's hard. It takes longer for the sun to penetrate our skin so that we can get the vital energy from the sun so that we're not vitamin D deficient when you have melanin in your skin. So as a result of that, even though we go outside and the best way to get the the vitamin D is from the sun through your skin, it is also recommended that you use a supplement called vitamin D. Do not use vitamin D2. You want D3 because D2 does not absorb in your body properly. Matter of fact, it doesn't do anything for your body, period. So you want vitamin D3. A deficiency in vitamin D3 in your body leads to depression. It leads to suicidal behavior, anger, a disposition that is not good for you. Products that you're using is affecting your mind, your body, and your spirit. So when you ask yourself what's going on with a person's behavior in your family, it also leads to mental health problems and what have you when you're not eating a proper diet and when you're putting poisons and toxins in your skin. And there's so many toxins and poisons in the products that we use and the food that we eat. It's a damn shame. You have to laugh to keep from crying. And in some ways, you're in a no-win situation because we really don't know what's organic, what's really vegan. We just don't know. You don't really know unless you're actually growing the food yourself, raising the cattle and the animals yourself, preparing it yourself, the whole 9 yards, just the way our great-grandfathers and grandmothers did back in the day where they had their own farms. I know one of my great uncles had his own chicken farm where he raised the chicken right off the ground. It's a difference in how, I know people say, hey, don't eat meat, but there is a difference in how meat tastes that is raised off the farm versus the meat that we're eating that's been processed at the grocery store. So keep that in mind, everybody, as you have been listening to this program today. I hope everybody is feeling what I'm saying. And Judah Queen says it can say that they say that vegan. Wait a minute. It can be said that vegan and be toxic. Sad. Yeah. If it's like he was saying, if you're buying vegan food that's frozen, that means it's been processed. That means you're not getting a healthy product. And vegan in the end means not eating things that are non-animal products. Right? Queen 100, there is so much junk in the tap water. Yeah, there's junk in the tap water. There's all sort of stuff in the tap water, man. TW, you're like the third person over the last few months I heard say that. And back to the basics. Where are you? Let me put you on the screen. You gave me a great Cash App. Thank you, $100 Cash App. I really appreciate that. Thank you, and a clap to you again. Back to the basics says, I don't like to talk above a certain volume. I don't like arguments or low frequencies. Yeah. Another thing that the doctor, I heard him say on his show is we got to learn. I know on YouTube in particular, we can be very emotional when we get on panels and we sometimes argue with each other. We really have to control our emotions because that plays into anger, which plays into stress, which can do this. This is another area that I meant to ask him about that I did not ask him about. And that is switching on good genes and switching on bad genes. So you got good genes in your body, and there's a good genetic makeup in your body, and then there's bad genetic makeups in your body, and you can switch either on or off. You can turn the bad genes on and activate them through stress, anger, erratical behavior, not eating properly. So if you're not eating properly, you're angry, you're not taking care of yourself, you can turn on bad genes that are dormant in your body that can do damage to you. So you want to do everything you can to maintain keeping the good genes in your body, the good genetic makeup in your body, keeping that switched on, and do not switch on bad things. That's called stress. When people are stressed, they start getting headaches, they can't sleep. All of a sudden, the stress is eating at you, it becomes cancerous. That's because you've just activated and turned on the bad genes in your body when you do that through stress. So learn how to deal with your stress, how to calm down. My biggest advice I would give to everybody is don't stress over things that you can't control. Only worry about and deal with things that you can control, that's within your power to deal with in a calm manner. Do not spend a lot of inventory and time stressing and worrying about things that you can't stop or control. You can simply say, hey, I don't like that, but stressing over it and you don't have any ability to control that is sort of, you're hurting yourself. You're beating yourself over the head, and that's not going to be helpful for you going forward. Let me also say this as I conclude this show today, that next week you have to make sure that you get yourself over here, because next week I am going to be talking about the reparations bill in California, but I'm going to be bringing people onto this panel that know what they're talking about, people that are involved in the organization that has been involved with the reparations program and movement in California. And as you've already heard, we have been able to change the language to lineage. That's very important, that people that will be eligible for this in California must be lineage based, because non-lineage based, we found out in California, which is why this was able to be passed, is that anything that's non-lineage based under the law is illegal. It has to be lineage based. The reason why this is important for the national movement for reparations is that the language that is happening in California and the changes to that language is setting a precedent for the overall discussion of reparations going forward, with changing the language for the whole national movement around reparations. I'm bringing on the best people that will give you all the information that you need to know about what's happening. I'm bringing on brothers and sisters that are a part of the committee, the organizations here in California that have been involved with pushing and promoting and advocating for this reparations movement in general, but particularly in California. I'll have the real Dana, who I was on with this past week with Judge Joe Brown. And by the way, Judge Joe Brown will be on this show. I talked to him. He will be on this show at some point soon. But I was on a channel with her. She's going to be on with me with these beautiful people who are going to be on talking about reparations. I'm going to be promoting this. So as soon as you see me drop the video for that, I need everybody to promote it, because I'm going to have some heavy hitters over here to talk about this issue. I can't promise this, but I'm going to try to reach out to Tone Talks and see if I can get him to be a part of the panel. All I can say is I'm going to try to reach out and see if I can make contact with him to see if I can get him on to talk about because he lives in California. And so I know he has shown up to some of these meetings, or at least he has spoken out. He has called in to the California legislation to give his opinions about reparations. And so I want to see if I can get him on here. There's no guarantee that I can, but even if I cannot get Tone Talks on here, I still have very important people that will be on this upcoming Sunday of next week, which will be, I think, April the 10th, that will speak to these issues, and they can speak to it very intimately right here in California where I live at. So I want to say peace to them out there. Peace to you in the chat room. Everybody have a great rest of your evening. I think I'm not going to have a panel this time. I think I'm going to end this video right here. We're at 101. We're at an hour and 49 minutes, which is great for this video. Please share this video in all of your social media. Tell people about it who were not here today for whatever reasons. And let me turn that down right there. Turn that up. I hit something by accident. The thunder. There we go. So tell everybody about next week's show when you can. You'll see me upload that video for next week, this week. Share this video. And oh, by the way, if you have not subscribed to Info Media Live, go ahead and do so. If you are a person who is thinking about creating a YouTube channel, or you want to get some insight on how to build a YouTube channel, how to build an audience, some of the tricks and the strategies of YouTube, or if you're a person who's just curious about how things go behind the scenes of preparing a YouTube channel and putting it together over time and what the strategies are, go ahead and subscribe to Info Media Live right now. And you can find the channel on this page right now. You can scroll down and you'll see my logo, Info Media Live. Click on that, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and do so. By the way, you can also subscribe, most importantly, to the Great Black Detox. The description of their link to their video is in the description of this video. So if you go into the description of this video, you will see a link that will bring you right to their YouTube channel, and you can subscribe. Now, some of their videos, they have some podcasts, and those podcasts are only a few minutes. So you can literally binge watch a lot of their content where the brother is talking about this kind of stuff, but he's doing it in a very short format, which won't take up all your time. So support them. I'll have them back. Support their content, support this show, share this video. Again, I can't say anymore. And for those of you who are following me on Info Media Live, I'll be dropping another video, hopefully tomorrow, a brand new video, if not Monday, Tuesday, for you to check out more Information Media Live content. So take care, everybody. I want to give everybody a clap. Keith. Anita V is coming to the house. Judah Queen, Back to the Basics. Keith, Weston. We got Shaka, who's coming to the house. TW, Queen, I Know I Am. Israel is in the house. Trish is in the house. Tristan is in the house, I mean to say. Who else is in the house? Erica is in the house. Life with Susie Q came over to give us support. Good to see you over here, sister. BB Scratcher's in the house. Thank you for coming over again. Angelica came over and dropped science for us. And I got to get out of here. Peace to you.
Tell the truth.
I hope you enjoyed the program today, ladies and gentlemen.
Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Be sure to subscribe to his channel. Information is power.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Thank you, everybody, for coming over. Sorry about some of the audio problems. That's what happens sometimes when the guest is using a cell phone and there's Wi-Fi. It distorts the sound, the fluctuations. Hopefully, like I said before, I'll have them next time in their studio, and we'll have better audio. At least the audio on their side came out well. There were problems on my side, but we'll have it together next time. Appreciate you. Once again, be on the lookout for me to drop a video on the Info Media Live channel, hopefully tomorrow. And then I'll be preparing my program for the upcoming Sunday, where I'll have some dynamic guests on talking about the issues of reparations. And don't get it twisted. What's happening in California is setting a precedence for what should happen across the country. So what's happening here can set the barometer for what can be done nationally. Of course, we have people who look like us who get in the way of what we're trying to do. And it's funny how the more successful the reparation movement becomes, especially what's happening in California, those naysayers on social media that says, y'all ain't gonna get no money, y'all ain't gonna get this, y'all ain't gonna do that, what black folks gonna do with that? They will be the first people in line. If they were going to cut a check tomorrow, they'll be the first ones in line with their hands out saying, where's my money? How about those people that are not for reparations that look like us? How about you stop talking about it and criticizing us, get the hell out of the way? And when checks are cut someday, how about you just say you don't want the money? Or how about you just say, I don't want my kids and my ancestors to get the money because I didn't believe in it in 2022. How about you just write a will right now and say you don't want none of your family members to have their hands out for any money in the future if this was to happen? Then you can get the hell out of the way of people that's trying to make progress. See, if we had Negroes like this back when Dr. King and Malcolm X were walking around and were fighting for us, let me say one better. If we had black folks like this back when some of us were in slavery, we would not be able to get out of slavery because we would have Negroes, and you did have Negroes back then that said, we can't run away. We can't fight. We're slaves. There's nothing we can do. If we had those type of thinking black folks, we wouldn't be able to progress anywhere. Those are not the kind of black people that I want to hang out with. I want to talk to, not wasting my time with people on YouTube who have a Frankenstein brain whatsoever. No time for it. Keep it real, everybody. Keep it love. Peace to you. Information Man.
Share the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Share the truth.
Information is power.
Share the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.